Isn't it wonderful? Thank you. 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 Isn't it wonderful? Thank you.
There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
We're back.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. Hey.
That was on point.
Purple Pill Show. What's going on? Tim Bot Das, co-host.
I'm the code.
I am the code. Host.
Things are good, man.
What have you been up to?
Oh, man, I'm just looking out for this eclipse.
Oh, the eclipse?
Yeah, I was waiting to see it. It was hurting my eyes.
You're just supposed to look at it.
I was out there tanning to it.
No, don't look at it.
I was in eclipse tan.
The eclipse tan.
Yeah, it happens once every 5 years or something. It's the deepest tan you can
The
get.
deepest tan, the eclipse.
Yeah.
The eclipse
It
tan.
eclipses all other tans.
Just energizing your body. Energizing
Right.
your body. I was doing that too. We got the eclipse tan
Yeah.
going on. I was red in an instant.
Yeah.
Just priming the pump for the big summer coming.
Oh, yeah.
The eclipse tan. Can you get the sun's obscured? I don't think you can. No, it's even
So
more
they
powerful.
say.
Right, it's even
So they say.
it's even more powerful.
Is it obscured? I can't verify.
This is the show where we suspend our beliefs on what was and what is, and we use our imagination on what is and what could be, so we can transcend the matrix, hack the 3D, and exit the gosh damn Truman Show once and for all.
Yes.
Because there is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. Yo, yes, it is.
You can get out. This is the way out.
It is a dimension as vast as space and timeless as infinity.
Right.
Middle ground between light and shadow.
That's where we're at.
Between science and superstition.
Right here.
And it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. The dimension of imagination. I mean, you can't. Rod Serling,
Oh, man.
Just the
That's a
best.
game changer.
he's the best.
Use your imagination.
I heard that so many times growing up. Watched the Twilight Zone religiously as a child, and never really keyed in on it. You know what I mean? I just thought it was science fiction gibberish. Turns out it's the nature of our reality and our existence.
Yeah.
Thanks, Twilight Zone.
This is the meaning of life.
This is the episode is called Eclipse Special.
Okay.
We're going to get into the eclipse, what it may mean, how it makes us feel. What are some of the things we should be trying to do during the eclipse? But first, get into it. Tim, I have a personal Mandela. Another personal Mandela.
Yeah.
Tim Bot Das.
What is that?
I was talking to him this morning, and I've known this guy 37 years or something. Yeah, something like that. 36, 37 years. And we're talking about my stepmom, and he's asking about what car she's driving now, whatever it is. And he says,
Does she still have that same whip?
does she still have that same whip? And I went,
What?
what? What's a whip?
Her car, man.
What's
She still have that same whip? Did she change the tires yet? That's what I said.
Does she still have that same whip? So, I mean, a whip is, Indiana Jones and the whip. You're whipping a horse to get moving, giddy up.
Right. I think that's where the term comes from.
Is she still driving that same whip? No, because that would be a carriage. She's still driving that same carriage?
Yeah.
It's not a whip. She's still driving a whip? No one's driving whips.
Yeah, man.
Even Indiana Jones doesn't drive whips.
Look at a whip.
Whip.
I don't know. It's something I've heard.
So, in the previous timeline, no one is referring to cars as whips. Ever on any hip hop. I mean, I've listened. I mean, no.
Really?
No one's referring to cars as whips. Don't look it up.
I'm almost certain
we're in the current timeline now. So I'm sure it'll be on there. Oh yeah, whip is car. It's always been car. It's always been referred to as car. You're the first person. I'm 47. You're the first person I've ever heard refer to a car as a whip. Previous timeline, a whip is a whip.
Shows what you know, man. You need to get out. And you're on social media.
Right?
That's weird.
Whip and whip.
Whip.
We have whippets. Whippets in the parking lots. We've done that in our 20s.
Day.
Okay.
One time, man.
A whip, Indiana Jones whip. Yep. All day. Okay. You buy a whip, cheap whips in Mexico when you go down there for vacation.
I got one of them.
When a kid.
Alvera Street or something.
But what kind of whip? Is she still driving the same whip?
I'm telling you, it's a reference
that doesn't
to
exist.
a car. Yeah.
Well, it is in this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So then I called him out on it. I said, "Hey, are you?"
And then I changed the subject
are you not
immediately.
Are you not following the script?
That's how I do it. Yeah.
I was just in a timeline where whip is a whip, not a car.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just kind of.
Oh, I got a Mandela update for you.
Oh, you have a Mandela update?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that how I changed the subject? I'm like, oh yeah, Snow White.
What's this one?
The Snow White, the book that I found, says mirror, mirror on the wall.
Oh yeah. What happened here? So
I was helping a friend move, and there was some children's books, and it was she was boxing them up to give it to someone, and I saw it and I opened it. I'm like, oh, and this is an older, Disney collection of books, and it was Snow White, and I went right to it because I wanted to see, and turned it to the page, and it says mirror, mirror on the wall, not magic mirror on the wall. It says mirror, mirror on the wall. In parentheses.
So the movie.
Right.
All the movies now, whether it's VHS, DVD, or digital, on demand. In the movie, the witch is looking in the mirror and says, magic mirror on the wall. But we all remember it as mirror, mirror on the wall. It was my favorite Disney cartoon as a kid. I watched it a bunch of times. I had the books that is basically the movie, but in book form, like what you're referencing. And it said mirror, mirror on the wall. The movie said mirror, mirror on the wall. Everything kind of lined up. Now we have the movie saying magic mirror on the wall, which is redundant because obviously it's a magic mirror. There's a creepy dude talking to her.
Right.
He's inside the mirror saying that you're, the smokingest chick he's ever seen.
Yes. It's like the genie in the lamp.
Right.
It's magic.
Right. It's clearly magic. So you don't have to say magic mirror on the wall. We're not stupid.
Yeah.
We can see that it's magic. We can see your magic.
I know. And I've seen those videos wherever, clips on YouTube or whatever, and it's magic mirror. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't look right. It's not how I remember it. And so I can't actually verify because I've never seen the VHS. I have access to one. I'm gonna watch it, but from my own personal memory, it's mirror, mirror. And I've heard references in hip hop and stuff, and they say mirror, mirror. I remember mirror, mirror. I just saw a book and it says mirror, mirror. So
mirror, mirror.
I don't know about these
mirror,
videos.
mirror.
I'm going to do my best to uncover the video that says mirror, mirror because I know it exists. That's what it is.
So the book that you found when you were helping your friend move, it is one of these. It's one of the books that is trying to mirror the movie.
It looks just like
it's like
it's actual.
What did call it back? The adaptation. It's the book adaptation of the movie.
Yes, and there's pictures of the movie in the book.
Pictures of the movie in the book.
Collection
and in that scene, it says mirror, mirror in the book, which doesn't match up with the changed movie in this timeline. And so the Mandela effect is more signposts from the spiritual dimension showing us that we are indeed time-traveling, multidimensional beings. And as we travel and get through these different timelines, there's different effects or different changes in our external reality. Yeah, there's different changes in our external reality that show themselves. Other people call them glitches in the matrix. And this is a major one, this magic mirror versus mirror. And so we've seen these references on the internet of people finding books and it says mirror, but the movie says magic. But now you found one in your own life. We don't have to use the internet. You found the book.
I text you. I took a picture and texted you.
You took a picture.
It's crazy.
And so there it is, another signpost. And it just happened to land on the eclipse day, the big portal that opened up where all the timelines can shift. You can shift major through this eclipse portal. All the eclipse signifies a big change, right? New beginnings and endings. Okay.
Darkness is covering the light.
Right. And then the light springs forth just an hour later, right? A little bit of time. As you come out of your darkness, there's the sun, S-O-N, or S-U-N, who lives within us. And don't forget, the sun is the light, but you are the light. I am the light.
We're all the light.
And I am in you, right? So that's the eclipse. And that brings us to today's episode. Let's look up the definition of eclipse. So I looked up the definition of eclipse, and it's the partial or complete obscuring relative to a designated observer of one celestial body by another. The partial or complete obscuring relative to a designated observer of one celestial body by another. And that is the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, 5th edition. It also means a temporary or permanent dimming or cutting off of light and a downfall. And so the eclipse, big time. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal because it's a total eclipse of the sun.
Yeah.
And if you're in the path of totality, you're outside and it gets very dark. I've been watching the videos from Texas, and it's getting real dark.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
like it's noticeable.
Yep.
On the ground.
Oh,
the shadows.
Yeah. Everyone's cheering. Okay. It gets pretty dark. You can only see the slight light of the sun coming from the edges.
Okay.
But it's pretty.
So is that what you're saying when you say it's relative to the observer? Because
yeah, you have to be.
I haven't seen anything like that here.
You have to be in the path of totalities. It's still happening.
Yeah.
But depending on where you are in America or around the world, you can see all of it, partial. Here it happened. Half of it was obscured.
Gotcha.
Was obscured. It was a slight dim. But I think that if we look at the master, Mark 13. Okay, so Mark 13 talks. The master's getting down and dark with the disciples, talking about the end of their world is the way I like to describe it. The end of the false belief systems, the end of the lies. That's what the end of the world is, right? Because when the master talks about the world, he's not talking about God's creation. He's talking about the lies. He's talking about the fear. He's talking about the belief system that makes up sleep versus death, as we talked about in the resurrection episode, right? He's talking about the less than belief systems, the finite, making you think that you're just, a speck of sand.
Yeah.
And so Mark 13, he goes over all these different things. There'll be wars and rumors of wars, but do not be frightened. This must take place, but that is not the end. Earthquakes in various places.
Oh, right.
For nation will rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. I like how he says kingdom against kingdom, because during this time, he's spreading the gospel of the kingdom.
Right. So I was just going to say, does that kingdom, you automatically think it's going to be city versus city or something, or
country
or
versus
like that.
country.
But the kingdom is within you, inside each individual person. So is that what he's referring to?
Well, he has to be referring to two kingdoms.
Good and evil?
Exactly. Heaven and hell, for lack of a better term.
Darkness,
the kingdom,
light.
right? The kingdom of the world,
Right.
the kingdom of Caesar, versus
Heaven and
versus
earth.
the kingdom of heaven,
Nice.
heaven and earth, right? So-
Yeah, because he's always talking about that separation.
right.
Like with earth and its temporal things here. Like if you love this place, you will lose it. Type
Right.
of thing. Like to get into the kingdom, right?
Right. Because if you, and if you believe in their system, you believe their way, then you're just waiting for the end,
Yes.
right? You're just waiting for the fire and brimstone. You're waiting for yourself to die or to get sick. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop
You're
at all times.
sucking your thumb and you're
right?
praying for death.
You're suck your thumb and pray for death. Right. So he says, for nation will rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom, which is very telling.
Yes.
Because he's spreading the gospel of the kingdom of heaven, and he's saying kingdom against kingdom, and he knows the future. He knows it's going to be countries, not kingdoms, but he still says kingdom against kingdom. So it must be the two kingdoms.
It has to be.
The kingdom of heaven versus the kingdom of the world. And he says, there will be earthquakes in various places. There will be famines. These things are merely the beginnings of birth pangs, right?
Yeah.
So something is about to be born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is Mark 13, verse 6, 7, 8, 9, and on. All right.
Well, here's this. This goes right with it. 1 John 2:15 through 17. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in this world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of the life, is not of the Father, but of this world.
Right. If any of those, if the five senses hold you captive, hold your beliefs captive.
Hear, smell, feel, touch,
Right.
see.
If you use all that, instead of seeing the splendor of God, instead you use those things to see the finite reality of your existence, then you are bound by that belief. And the Father is not in you. Right? Because you don't believe you're going to live forever. You don't believe that you're worthy of it. You believe you're a speck of dust.
You're a star of the Truman Show.
Right. Yeah, right. You're locked in.
It's 3D.
And so that's what he's talking about. He
Right,
wants
right.
you to use those five senses to see the splendor of God, to see the kingdom. And so all this, so I love how he frames this, right? See to it that no one misleads you. Many will come in my name saying, I am he, and will mislead many.
Yeah.
When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be frightened. Those things must take place. That is not yet the end. Nation will rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes, various places. There will be famines. These things are merely the birth pangs. So I love how he takes all that negative and turns it into positive. Well, the only reason those things are happening, or people say they're happening, is because something new is being born. Right? Something is being eclipsed. Something is being eclipsed. The world is being eclipsed.
Yes.
Look up the false light.
Difference.
Look up the false light in the Bible, okay?
Okay.
And so we're going to eclipse that false light. Something's about to be eclipsed, right? The decline of the world. He also says, but be on your guard, for they will deliver you to the courts. And you will be flogged in the synagogues, and you will stand before governors and kings for my sake as a testimony to them. The gospel must first be preached to all the nations. When they arrest you and hand you over, do not worry beforehand about what you are to say, but say whatever is given you in that hour. For it is not you who speak, but it is the Holy Spirit. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child, and children will rise up against parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but the one who endures to the end, he will be saved. Okay? Now, sounds real, sounds pretty dark. But if you take it as a kingdom against kingdom, and the kingdom is within you, so this could be the courts of the world, or it could be the courts of your inner mind, the courts of your ego, your negative self-talk, right? You're going to hand yourself over to the authorities of your beliefs, right? Because you will stand before governors and kings for my sake. But when you're in your ego and you're envisioning all these different negative things in your mind, aren't you standing before the governors and the kings? Aren't you, your higher self or your consciousness is kind of bending the knee or giving itself over to the authorities of the world? The authorities being your misplaced beliefs, your limiting beliefs, your negative talks. Aren't those governors and kings?
Oh, of course. It's another idol.
Right.
You can't worship two idols.
Right. And won't they hate you? Won't they tell you, no, it can't be that way?
Oh,
that's what your mind's always doing.
Of course. Yeah. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. That's what that's all about.
Right.
It's your ego.
So some people have the experience where they are in front of the court or they are in front of the authority. Some people have the experience where it's all internal.
Yes.
But either way, this applies. And he says, do not worry beforehand about what you are to say, but say whatever is given you in that hour, for it is not you who speak, but it is the Holy Spirit. So, like the resurrection episode last week, when you can't find the words to battle these things back, you better stock up on food. You better,
Right.
It's all come. It's going to go down. This and that. Do not worry. And
the words come to you.
the words come
from
to
the
you,
Holy Spirit.
right, into your mind to get rid of those negative thoughts.
Right.
You go to try to tell your mom or your dad or your loved ones, and your brother's betraying their brother. The father is child. Children rise up against parents and have them put to death. You'll be hated by all because of my name. Because people are, and what that might look like is people are running around, repeating whatever the TV says, the talking heads on the TV. The sky is falling. And you're there going, no, it's not. This is actually going to be the birth of something great. And, we need to trust that I am the light and you are the light. And people are going to scoff and be upset. They don't want to, because misery loves company. So when you start speaking positive on a person that's on a good one negative, they don't want to hear it. And they'll just go, oh, fine, have it your way. You're going to be, you're going to die or you'll starve or, one of these things. We have to eclipse that. We have to eclipse those beliefs. We have to eclipse those inner thoughts. We have to eclipse those people that would try to put their fear into us.
Right here, this is false light, right?
Yeah.
2 Corinthians 11:14. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light.
Right.
And
exactly.
we know from the previous episodes the egos.
Right. The ego is Satan. So are people you come in contact with that are in their own ego, believing the fear and the lies. Why do they believe the fear? Because they don't believe the master. Because he just said it right up here, do not be scared. Do not worry. Do not worry. So if you are doing those things, then you're believing the world. You're giving yourself over to the world.
Yeah.
So the false light of the world needs to be eclipsed, right? And that leads to the return of Christ, because right here, Mark 13:24, here comes the eclipse. But in those days, after that tribulation, right? After you've gone through all this horrible stuff, and everyone's tribulation is going to be different. It's individual tribulation.
Just like
now
the individual observer.
Right, exactly, from the definition. So it's individual tribulation. Yes, there'll be tribulations in the world like a COVID and things like this, but you've gone through tribulations throughout your life, some worse than others. But this one...
Texas arguably has gone through a lot more because they're getting almost total darkness and we're barely getting any.
Right. The path of totality. Yeah. I love how they just do that. Some people are pilgrimaging to the path of that's a cool name. Oh, that's a new name for a band. The path of totality. Just great. So here it comes, right? So we're going to eclipse the false light, the return of Christ. But in those days, after that tribulation, right? After wars and rumors of wars, sky is falling, et cetera, et cetera.
Kingdom versus kingdom.
Right. After that tribulation, mother hates child, child hates father,
Yeah.
But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. And the stars will be falling from heaven and the powers that are in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send forth the angels and will gather together his elect from the four winds, from the farthest end of the earth to the farthest end of heaven. Now that's awesome. So you got to go through this tribulation. You have to eclipse the false light. And even the master himself refers to an eclipse type event, talking about the return of Christ. And what does that mean? If he's in us, the Father's in me and I am in you, then where will he return? Right, if he's already in you.
Yeah.
So where's he going to return? He's going to come up to the top of your mind. He's going to be the forefront. Instead of ego, now you're going to be listening to Christ or the Holy Spirit. Same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Your higher self, the universal laws.
But I am the great I am.
Right. I am Cody. I am Tim. Right. So, but in those days, after that tribulation, what tribulation? The extreme darkness of inner talk, negative talk, limiting beliefs, to the point that everyone around you is negative and you're trying to stay grounded, right? In those days after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers that are in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send forth the angels and will gather together his elect from the four winds, from the farthest end of the earth to the farthest end of heaven. What would that look like, right? Remember when I first got my download, my spiritual awakening, I said to you, if it's happening to me and it's happening to you, and we're just average Joes, it's happening to millions of people.
Yes.
And it's going to progressively get bigger and bigger as people wake up to the reality of who we really are, right?
Right.
Right. And so that's the Son of Man coming.
So here's another one for you that just kind of piggybacks on where you were, John 12:35. Then Jesus said to them, a little while longer the light is with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light.
Sons of light. That's my next tattoo.
That's just...
I mean, are you kidding me? Say it again.
So good.
Say it again slower, please.
Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light.
Dude, this is just Shakespeare.
I know.
While you have the light, walk in the light so you may become sons of light?
Yes. Boom.
Sons of light?
Yeah.
That's the new band.
Sons
of light.
These things Jesus spoke.
And the path of and the first album is the Path of Sons of Light. First record, the Path of Totality.
Right.
But in those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. So what's happening now with our eclipse? Well, it's coming on the heels of the download from the Holy Spirit, the metaphysical experience that I had, that you had, that millions of people are having.
Yes.
And so and as we know, it's getting more and more intense for more and more people, as we all understand that we can't stop the wars by, jumping on a tank and shaking the turret. We can't stop hate by, making a point to a neo-Nazi that black people are human, right? We can't do that. They don't change. What can we do? We can change ourselves.
Individually.
And we can change our beliefs. And as we change our beliefs, we start shifting timelines.
To where other people are on board.
Right.
They're changing their beliefs.
Yep.
And it's a collective. It's a unification.
It's a collective of people and beliefs.
Right.
And now the world has to rationalize. And then we start shifting over to another new earth, the kingdom of heaven. And then the old earth with the hate and the fear and all the beliefs of the world, that will be there too.
This is what moving the mountain looks like.
This is what moving the mountain looks like.
You're the mustard seed.
You can only stop it by stopping yourself. Stopping what? Stopping the belief that people are truly like that. Even the person with only hate is a son of God. And that's how you can forgive them.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we have to focus on them and give them more of our energy and more of our power and more of our belief. We just simply remove them from, out of sight, out of mind. Right? That doesn't mean we're just letting them do their thing. But as we change our consciousness, as we change our focus, those people, it'll be like magic mirror on the wall versus mirror, mirror. Pretty soon there won't be any of those people.
Yeah.
Either that or they'll just be converted and they'll have seen the light, no pun intended, and they'll have changed their beliefs and now they don't hate anymore. I mean, whichever way the world's going to rationalize it, we don't know what that's going to look like. But we're going to get to a point where there's no more hate. There's no more sickness. There's no more death. There's no more any of it. And we're going to live infinitely with the master, just like he tells us to do. So
it's simple. It's not easy, though.
But it's not easy.
I mean, that's what I say. It's so funny. That's what I
And it happens
call the
after the
12-step
eclipse.
program. It's simple. It's a simple program. It's just not that easy. It's very difficult.
Well,
I was on my knees this morning praying just to help me not be mean to people.
Right.
It's hard to do.
Even if just kidding.
If I feel I've been wronged in some way.
Yeah.
Like,
they took advantage of your good nature.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Right. Well, that sounds like a less than belief.
Right. It was my ego.
Yeah.
That's what I was praying for.
Yeah.
You
Get
know
that
what I
out
mean?
of here.
It's difficult.
No.
You have to.
No good deed goes unrewarded.
Yeah.
That's the real law of the universe.
Right.
No good deed goes unrewarded. Yes.
Right.
Not unpunished. That's the less than.
I know.
Because if you believe that, then you're going to be punished every good deed. No, it's every good deed doesn't go unrewarded. It gets rewarded every time.
Right.
And so what's exciting about this eclipse is that the return of Christ comes after this big eclipse, after the big tribulation. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light and the stars will be falling from heaven. Now, personally, went through a big tribulation.
Huge.
Okay.
Huge.
Right. And you could argue that the world has been going through a great tribulation, depending on which side of the political spectrum you're on over the last 8 years.
Oh, yeah. For
right.
Sure.
Right. So there's a big
For
tribulation and the economy has gone through a big tribulation, right? Gas is $6, milk's $8. I mean, you name it. Right.
So,
even there's a big tribulation in all different facets of our lives. Some more than others, some individuals, some on the macro. Okay.
Yeah.
So after that tribulation, the sun will be, not might be, the sun will be darkened, happened today. The moon will not give its light, happened today. Then they will see the Son of Man. That's what's exciting.
So today is a signpost.
Correct.
For some great change.
It's a sign. It's another signpost to the timeline shift
Right.
of the coming of the kingdom of heaven and the new earth. Because the master himself says it's a signpost. Mm-hmm. After the tribulation, the sun will be darkened, happened today. The moon will not give its light, happened today. Then they will see the Son of Man. So now more people are going to have a spiritual awakening, are going to get the download from Holy Spirit. They're going to see the Son of Man who lives within them rise to the top of their mind, rise to the forefront of their mind because remember, in the resurrection episode, you can't even get to this understanding without tribulation.
Without taking up your cross.
Right. You have to get crucified.
Take up your cross and follow me.
That's the tribulation.
Right.
And get flogged and get betrayed and get,
Yeah.
And then so you can be resurrected.
Yes.
You'll see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Where are the clouds? Up here. So you would look up, think of your mind, and there it is. At the forefront of your mind. Because you're going to go, you know what? I'm just done. I can't keep up with how many freaking preservatives are in my bread every second. I can't keep up with, 25 years of storable food. I've got to, whatever.
It's madness.
My brother, he's got, a safe of 9 different assault weapons, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or if you're on the left, it's everyone's racist and the oppression of the culture, et cetera, et cetera. So
who cares?
Right. It doesn't, both sides, it's that they're going to that tribulation point.
Yeah.
They're waiting for this outward tribulation whether it's outward or, buying all this stuff, preparing for all this madness. And then if it doesn't happen, that's a tribulation too. Like, what have I
Is that what you really want?
Went too far?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to have that experience of World War III because you'll get it. You'll get it.
Yeah. What? It's all belief, right? It all stems from belief.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to believe?
Right. Sorry about all the beeping.
You're dinging.
Hold on 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Now that we've kind of threaded that needle here, I want to go into the two. So I got a couple mainstream articles up here. Okay.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. For the two different aspects that the world or the Truman Show is trying to show us about this whole thing. And,
about the eclipse.
Yeah. About the eclipse. They're both interesting, but they're both totally different than no, one's a little more on our level, on the way we're looking at it in a positive sense.
Oh, okay. And
one is just, it's negative, and then, positive at the very end. So we're going to the first one. So one of them is going to be spiritual friends, and the other one is going to be,
the moon is plummeting to Earth.
The corporate Christians. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So this one says, this is from NorthJersey.com. It says, in New Jersey, Wiccans and witches. So already trying to prime the pump. Oh no, witches. Wiccans and witches have big plans for supercharged energy of April solar eclipse. Yeah, the energy is going to be supercharged. Right. Kidding me? This is a key signpost.
Mm-hmm.
On April 8th, a total solar eclipse will darken skies over North America, transforming day into night. It's a scene that will strike many as magical or ominous. For some, it will also be highly spiritual. Across North Jersey and throughout the world, many Wiccans, pagans, and Druids view 2024's eclipse as a source of powerful energy that can bring about personal transformation and healing. So Wiccans, pagans, and Druids think that? So just they think that it's a powerful energy that can bring about personal transformation and healing? Well, tons of different faiths and spiritual beliefs are thinking that this is that. And even the master himself says that the eclipse. Say.
We just talked about
the master himself says the eclipse is a big turning point. Yeah. It's the beginning. It's showing you the Son of Man's coming.
So why are they focusing on witches and Druids?
Exactly. But only Satanists, child molesters, and serial killers think that it's
people on this list.
Yeah,
think
it's that type of thing. It's a powerful and highly energetic time, and this one will be especially good for healing our past and awakening the fire within. Well, that sounds pretty good, said Alexa Bronco of Hackensack, who runs the Bruges Tomb, an online metaphysical store that sells witchy wares, such as cleaning. So you just know that when they interviewed this lady, they're like, hey, we're with NorthJersey.com.
Mm-hmm.
You want to, will you answer a couple questions for the hit piece against other spiritual beliefs? I mean, for our article about the eclipse, and she's like, oh yeah. So her quote in here is really sweet and really upbeat and positive, right? It's a powerful and highly energetic time, and this one will be especially good for healing our past and awakening the fire within, which is totally true.
Yes.
Okay. But then they immediately said Alexa Branco of Hackensack, who runs the Bruges Tomb, an online metaphysical store, quote unquote, that sells witchy wares such as cleaning candles, crystals, and instruction in reading tarot cards. Trying to just muddy the waters a bit. Yeah.
It's a witch.
Right. Throw in the fact that the eclipse is taking place in fiery Aries, which marks the astrological new year and onset of spring, and it is a time supercharged for transformation. Okay. 100% it is.
Yeah.
Because we just got done talking about how the master's telling us after this tribulation, the eclipse will happen, and that brings about the Son of Man. Well, that sounds like this. Marks the astrological and onset of spring. It is a time supercharged for transformation. Do you mean like the transformation of Jesus coming on the clouds and he's within us? Yeah, that's what I do mean. You see how that unites right there? No problem. Okay, then down here it goes. Okay, this one's good here. Okay.
This is probably in every religious belief
Of course it is.
as some form of transformation.
Listen, if the master is saying it happens before a big transformation, arguably the biggest thing he could ever talk about, the return of him. Okay.
Yeah.
Just from a Christian standpoint, it's massive. So of course, everything else is going to think that it's awesome and positive too.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a little sprinkle of, the endings and new beginnings, tribulation, but the birth of something new. That's what the master we just got done reading about it. Mm-hmm. Okay. John Beckett, a druid. What's a druid?
A druid?
What is a druid? Okay.
I don't know, man. I was playing D&D with my kids over the weekend, and there was druids in our campaign.
What is a druid?
I don't know if they're
How
here.
widespread are druid? I know Wiccans and witches are still popular, but what's a druid? Is that like an orc? What is it? Or is it is it a Jedi? They were the cloaks. A druid.
A druid's kind of like a wizard, right?
I don't know. John Beckett.
This guy's a druid.
So John Beckett, a druid and author in Texas, said, these events are powerful. They can, in my experience, speed up magic because the sun goes from bright to dark to bright in minutes rather than in a whole day. It's an amazing natural occurrence and something we can look at and appreciate. Well, it sounds pretty upbeat. John Beckett, a druid. The druids sure sound upbeat and positive. And don't forget the master.
Prophets and sorcerers.
That's
what it says.
If they're not against us, they're for us. Does that sound like he's against them? I will say a few prayers and make a small offering to ask my gods and spirits for help in whatever the eclipse brings. No problem there.
Yeah.
I have no problem with any of it. Gods, little g.
Mm-hmm.
He means spiritual friends. He means spiritual entities. He's going to pray and make a small offering, help in whatever the eclipse brings. And we can...
Where'd you get this guy? Where's this guy?
He's in the same article.
Oh,
okay, now hold on here. Lorraine Henrik, whose coven is based in Fairfield, said that traditionally spells are not performed in the day. You cannot access solar or lunar energies as effectively when they're overshadowed by an eclipse. In ancient times, people felt that a solar eclipse brought doom or bad luck. In Ringwood, Megan McSweenery, a self-described eclectic witch, said the April 8th event is about relationships. Our relationship with others, ourselves, and also the divine. Eclipse season isn't something that is meant to be controlled, but something to surrender to. Meaning to go with the flow of the energy that is coming in for great change and growth. Sounds pretty positive.
It does.
Great change and growth. And we saw that the master was himself talking about the eclipse before great change and growth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this all lines up.
Yeah.
It's not about Jesus, but isn't it though? Isn't everything? Because all things were made from the word, and there's nothing that wasn't made from the word. So this is the word. So we're all the word. And how come it lines up? I mean, if it didn't line up, why would Jesus even talk about the sun and the moon and describe an eclipse if it didn't matter?
Exactly.
Right? And so then we have our spiritual friends saying it matters too. She'll celebrate by meditating on relationships and personal growth. That sounds good.
Wow.
She will also perform a cord-cutting ritual to dismiss those relationships we wish to fully let go, and an abundance blessing to ensure the seeds we plant now are successful for the rest of the year. An eclipse can usher in endings for certain relationships and bring beginnings for others, she said. It is a time of dynamic change, and boy, oh boy, is it. So I was on I was working out this morning. I was on the treadmill, got done with that, was doing the weights, and then all of a sudden I was led to just stop and sit, and it was 10 minutes before the eclipse. To stop and sit, and Holy Spirit told me, anchor in the light. And so I sat, closed my eyes, and I could see where I was in my room with my eyes closed. And I was just emanating light from me, and light was coming down through my legs all the way into the center of the earth plane and all the way up into heaven. And then I was shooting it all over my neighborhood in my mind's eye and my imagination. And then I started seeing visions of all my loved ones and friends and a glorious kind of golden future for everyone on earth. And it was amazing. It was so beautiful. And I felt like not just me was doing that at that time, but millions of people were doing it. And it was really...
like the eclipse had passed.
And even just taking time out in your busy day to do something like that for 10 minutes, to send that type of vibration out, that type of frequency, and then connect with others is just, I can't put into words how effective that is.
Really?
Because it is effective. It's very, very fucking effective.
Just for you in your personal
it helps
everyday life.
It helps me personally, and I know it helps the entire world when we do things like that, because of all the things that the masters taught us. Okay, now we're going to switch over to, so that was fun. The spiritual friends, the witches, the druids, the werewolves, the vampires, they all think it's very positive. The master thinks it's positive, right? Now
Most definitely.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what connected, you know,
Okay.
the spiritual ones for me really connected with what we were just reading with.
So the master's
Jesus.
on board with the eclipse, positive, bring about great change. The spiritual friends, the vampires, Frankenstein and the warlocks, they're all on board.
Right.
Okay, all very, very fun, very positive. Now let's get over to Charisma News.
What is that?
Breaking news, spiritual perspective. And I love the headline, Decoding Heaven's Message, Spiritual Meanings of the 2024 Great American Eclipse.
Really?
Yeah, in an exclusive interview with Charisma News, Pastor Troy Brewer shares a powerful message delving into the spiritual meanings and biblical signs behind the Great American Eclipse. Comparing life to a ship, he urged everyone to shift from a laid-back cruise ship attitude to a more alert battleship mindset.
Really?
The key, according to Brewer, is to live as though we are truly in the end times, truly in the end times, keeping our focus on Jesus and holding on to a deep respect for God. I'm into that part.
Yeah.
That's fine. Who does, I mean,
You should be doing that
when
on
are
the
we
regular.
not, when are we not doing that?
On the regular.
But that doesn't mean battleship though.
No.
Because when Jesus was actually on the boat and the big storm, he was sleeping. So why would the pastor tell me to get into a battleship mindset when the actual example, when the storm was brewing and they're on the boat on the big lake, Jesus was sleeping.
First of all, when is Jesus ever in a battleship mind?
I know, right? Never. Holding on to a deep respect for God. A major highlight of Pastor Brewer's talk is the upcoming Great American Eclipse, which will take place April 8th. Referring to Jesus' words about signs in the sun, moon, and stars in Matthew 24, Brewer pointed out the significance of this celestial event, signaling the start of a crucial 7-year cycle since the last major American eclipse in 2017. For those skeptical about the celestial signs, Brewer connected the upcoming eclipse to a verse in Exodus, okay, blah, 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 expressing concern about the growing... Oh, here we go. The biblical tie-in adds weight to the belief that this eclipse isn't just a regular occurrence, but a divine message. Well, it's a divine message. We agree with that. Expressing concern about the growing global tensions. Okay. Brewer admitted that the threat of war is more significant this year than ever before. Ever before? Really? We hear this every year since I was like 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember hearing it on the TV all the time. Brewer admitted that the threat of war is more significant this year than ever before. However, he offered a reassuring note saying, God doesn't want anyone to feel powerless this year. The call was clear. Find hope and lean into the power of God even when faced with challenging times. In a down-to-earth explanation of eclipses, Brewer shared that historically God uses the moon to communicate with the Jewish people and the sun with Gentiles. Eclipses, according to Brewer, are a way to God grabs our attention, telling us to look up and pay attention to what he's saying. In response to questions about the eclipse path, Brewer emphasizes the seriousness of the message, saying, "This is the word of the Lord. You know, Jesus Christ made all of these things, and God Almighty rules from his throne over the heavens and over the earth. And Jesus himself actually said there will be signs in the sun and the moon and within the stars. And so it is a tremendous sign." But he doesn't even talk about what the actual sign is.
No.
Why don't you tell?
Like
I just told you what
ranting.
I just told you what it is.
Right.
It's Mark 13. It's right there. Why didn't you say that? Does he not know? It's a pretty long. Breaking down the symbolism of the eclipse path. Breaking down the symbolism of the eclipse's path forming an X across the United States, Brewer explains that in Hebrew, the X means a prophetic sign and the signature of God, highlighting the intersection point at Little Egypt. He adds that it symbolizes literally Jesus, the Prince of Peace.
The Prince of Peace.
Yeah, no, he is the Prince of Peace.
But get into battleship
battleship
mode.
mode. I don't understand.
Dude, I can't.
Wait a minute. He's the Prince. So
I can't with this guy.
I do like how, so the
battleship mode means you're going to war.
We should be looking at it now as if it's the end
Right?
times right now.
Right, dude?
All the people
hunt
you
for
don't
Red
like are
October.
going to hell,
Like,
and all the
dude,
people
what
we
is
do
going on?
like are going to heaven. No, but I do like how the thread is this. The master shows us the eclipse is right before he returns within us,
Yes.
right? Then the spiritual friends say great transformation, relationships, new beginnings,
Right.
cutting off ends, right? And then this guy, the X, signifies a Prince of Peace, which I'm into because it signifies the coming
Sure.
right within us, and it also signifies the transformation. So but here we go.
Here's another one for you in John.
Okay.
John 9:4. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world.
God, that's so beautiful. As long as I am in the world, right? How can he be in the world? Because he has to be at the forefront of your mind because you're in the world, because
Right.
he is in me and I am in you. So
You
you
are
are
the light.
him.
I am the
You
light.
are
You
him
are
in
the
the
light.
world.
Right.
As the time continued to accelerate, back to the article, as the time continued to accelerate and spiritual warfare continues to be waged, Pastor Brewer urges everyone not to forget the basics, keeping our focus on Jesus.
What are the basics?
He stresses that there's a deep peace. I know it says
I am
basics
the light.
plural.
You are the light.
Yeah, I am he is in me and I am in you. You are the
That's
light.
it.
I am. That's the basics.
That's it.
But it's
What does he say?
he says keeping our focus on Jesus.
Oh, he doesn't even go into
stresses-
what
no.
Jesus said? Oh,
no,
dude.
no.
Come
Waiting on the other side of
on,
challenging
bro.
times.
I guess that's what we're here for.
Waiting on the other side of challenging, accessible only through his divine presence.
Right.
Well, his divine presence is everywhere, buddy.
Yeah.
Accessible only
Everywhere,
through his
all at
divine.
once.
But what if, his divine presence? Nothing was made that wasn't made through the Word.
He's everything, everywhere, all at once.
Everything was made through the Word. Nothing was made that wasn't through the Word.
That's it.
So therefore, you're always in his divine presence. Isn't that the message? Isn't that the
Yes.
basics? That is the basics.
That's it.
And that's why we're happy about this eclipse. What an exciting time. And now,
It's phenomenal.
so he said it himself, Mark 13, okay? The eclipse, and then boom, massive awakenings everywhere. The return of the Son of Man, sending his angels. We know these things exist.
You just got resurrected last week. Now
Yep.
get eclipsed
Yep.
and have the awakening.
Boom.
That's it.
Here we go. Happy Eclipse Day, everybody. Hope you liked the episode. We love you.
Yeah.
And we'll see
we
you
do.
next week, hopefully.
Later.
We'll see what happens. Bye-bye.